The cold winds rave on the icy river, the leafless branches complain and shiver, the snow clouds sweep on to a dreary tune. Can these be the earth and the heavens of June? When the blossoming trees gleam in virginal white, and heaven's gate opens wide in the lucid night, and there comes no sound on the perfumed air but the passionate brown bird caroling fair, and the lush grass and upland and lowland stands deep, and the loud landrail lulls the children to sleep, and the white still road and the thick-leaved wood are haunted by fanciful solitude, and by garden and lane men and maidens walk, busied with trivial, lover-like talk, and the white and the red rose, newly blown, open each with a perfume and grace of its own. The cold wind sweeps o'er the desolate hill, the stream is bound fast, and the wolds are chill, and by the dead flats, where the cold blasts moan, a bent body wearily plods alone.
Winter winds cold and blee, chilly blows o'er the lea. Wander not out to me, Jenny so fair. Wait in thy cottage free, I will be there. Wait in thy cushioned chair, with thy white bosom bare. Kisses are sweetest there, leave it from me. Free from the chilly air, I will meet thee. How sweet can courting prove? How can I kiss my love, muffled in hat and glove from the chill air? Quaking beneath the grove, what love is there? Lay by thy woolen vest, drape no cloak o'er thy breast, where my hand oft hath pressed. Pin nothing there, where my head droops to rest, leave its bed bare.
Now winter nights enlarge the number of their hours, and clouds their storms discharge upon the airy towers. Let now the chimneys blaze, and cups o'erflow with wine. Let well-tuned words amaze with harmony divine. Now yellow waxen light shall wait on honey love, while youthful revels, masks, and courtly sights sleep's leaden spells remove. This time doth well dispense with lovers' long discourse. Much speech hath some defence, though beauty no remorse. All do not all things well, some measures comely tread, some knotted riddles tell, some poems smoothly read. The summer hath his joys, and winter his delights, though love and all his pleasures are but toys, they shorten tedious nights.
The day begins to droop, its course is done, but nothing tells the place of the setting sun. The hazy darkness deepens, and up the lane you may hear, but cannot see, the homing wain. An engine pants and hums in the farm hard by, its lowering smoke is lost in the lowering sky. The soaking branches drip, and all night through the dropping will not cease in the avenue. A tall man there in the house must keep his chair. He knows he will never again breathe the spring air. His heart is worn with work, he is giddy and sick, if he rise to go as far as the nearest rick. He thinks of his morn of life, his hale, strong years, and braves as he may the night of darkness and tears.
Winter rain. Every valley drinks, every dell and hollow, where the kind rain sinks and sinks, green of spring will follow. Yet a lapse of weeks, buds will burst their edges, strip their wool coats, glue coats, streaks, in the woods and hedges. Weave a bower of love for birds to meet each other, weave a canopy above, nest and egg and mother. But for fattening rain we should have no flowers, never a bud or leaf again, but for soaking showers. Never a mated bird in the rocking tree-tops, never indeed a flock or herd to graze upon the lea-crops. Lambs so woolly white, sheep the sun-bright leas on, they could have no grass to bite, but for rain in season. We should find no moss in the shadiest places, find no waving meadow grass pied with broad-eyed daisies, but miles of barren sand, with never a son or daughter, not a lily on the land, or lily on the water.
Yesterday the fields were only gray with scattered snow, and now the longest grass leaves hardly emerge. Yet her deep footsteps mark the snow, and go on towards the pines at the hill's white verge. I cannot see her, since the mist's white scarf obscures the dark wood and the dull orange sky. But she's waiting, I know, impatient and cold, half sobs struggling into her frosty sigh. Why does she come so promptly, when she must know that she's only the nearer to the inevitable farewell? The hill is steep, on the snow my steps are slow. Why does she come, when she knows what I have to tell?
Late lies the wintry sun abed, a frosty, fiery sleepyhead, blinks but an hour or two, and then a blood-red orange sets again. Before the stars have left the skies, at morning in the dark I rise, and shivering in my nakedness, by the cold candle bathe and dress. Close by the jolly fire I sit, to warm my frozen bones a bit, or with a reindeer sled explore the colder countries round the door. When to go out, my nurse doth wrap me in my comforter and cap. The cold wind burns my face, and blows its frosty pepper up my nose. Black are my steps on the silver sod, thick blows my frosty breath abroad, and tree and house, and hill and lake, are frosted like a wedding cake.
Winter, my secret. I tell my secret. No, indeed, not I. Perhaps some day, who knows? But not today. It froze and blows and snows, and you're too curious. Fie. You want to hear it? Well, only my secret's mine, and I won't tell. Or after all, perhaps there's none. Suppose there is no secret after all, but only just my fun. Today's a nipping day, a biting day, in which one wants a shawl, a veil, a cloak, and other wraps. I cannot ope to every one who taps, and lets the draughts come whistling through my hall, come bounding and surrounding me, come buffeting, astounding me, nipping and clipping through my wraps and all. I wear my mask for warmth. Whoever shows his nose to Russian snows to be pecked at by every wind that blows? You would not peck. I thank you for goodwill. Believe, but leave that truth untested still. Spring's an expansive time, yet I don't trust March with its peck of dust, nor April with its rainbow-crowned brief showers, nor even May, whose flowers one frost may wither through the sunless hours. Perhaps some languid summer day, when drowsy birds sing less and less, and golden fruit is ripening to excess. If there's not too much sun, nor too much cloud, and the warm wind is neither still nor loud, perhaps my secret I may say, or you may guess.
In rigorous hours, when down the iron lane the redbreast looks in vain for hips and haws, low shining flowers upon my window pane, the silver pencil of the winter draws. When all the snowy hill and the bare woods are still, when snipes are silent in the frozen bogs, and all the garden garth is whelmed in mire, low by the hearth the laughter of the logs, more fair than roses, lo, the flowers of fire.
Winter, a song to be sung behind the stove. Old Winter is the man for me, stout-hearted, sound and steady, steel nerves and bones of brass hath he. Come snow, come blow, he's ready. If ever man was well, 'tis he. He keeps no fire in his chamber, and yet from cold and cough is free in bitterest December. He dresses him outdoors at morn, nor needs he first to warm him. Toothache and rheumatis he'll scorn, and colic don't alarm him. In summer, when the woodland rings, he asks,
"What mean these noises?"
Warm sounds he hates, and all warm things most heartily despises. But when the fox's bark is loud, when the bright hearth is snapping, when children round the chimney crowd, all shivering and clapping, when stone and bone with frost do break, and pond and lake are cracking, then you may see his old sides shake, such glee his frame is racking. Near the North Pole upon the strand he has an icy tower. Likewise in lovely Switzerland he keeps a summer bower. So up and down, now here, now there, his regiments manoeuvre. When he goes by, we stand and stare, and cannot choose but shiver.
Spring. Nothing is so beautiful as spring. When weeds in wheels shoot long and lovely and lush. Thrush's eggs look little low heavens, and thrush through the echoing timber does so rinse and ring the ear, it strikes like lightnings to hear him sing. The glassy pear tree leaves and blooms, they brush the descending blue. That blue is all in a rush with richness. The racing lambs too have fair their flame. What is all this juice and all this joy? A strain of the earth's sweet being in the beginning, in Eden garden. Have, get, before it cloy, before it cloud, Christ, Lord, and sour with sinning. Innocent mind, and May-Day in girl and boy, most, O mage child, thy choice, and worthy the winning.
O March he is a loud-foot lad, nor pipes his April cap. But this green day he brings again an olive branch to man. His enrolled hours are promises set in the snow-white days, as slowly moves earth's miracle along the hidden ways. As peace is paler than red war, the crocus than the rose, so life comes whispering up the land a word that brightly glows. And not in azure Arcady, or where great battles ring, is felt the everlasting hope that is the heart of spring. But in the spirit of the race that holds a vision clear, and plucks the flower of fadeless dream, through soldier as through seer. And let him that is athirst come, and whosoever will, let him take the water of life freely. Revelation 22:17. I wandered down a mountain road, past flower and rock and lichen gray, alone with nature and her God, upon a flitting summer day. The forest skirted the edge of Capon River, Hampshire's gem, which bathing many primrose ledge oft sparked like a diadem. At length a silvery spring I spied, gurgling through moss and fern along, waiting to bless with cooling tide all who were gladdened by its song. Oh, who would pass with thirsting lip and burning brow this limpid wave? who would not pause with joy and sip its crystal depths? Who would not crave? This query woke a voice within. Why slight the spring of God's great love, that fount that cleanseth from all sin? O purchase paid by Christ above. Whoever will may drink. O why, worn toilers in this earthly strife, reject a mansion in the sky, reject heaven's bliss and endless life?
I do not know which is worse when you are away. Long grey days with the lisping sound of the rain. And then, when the lilac dusk is beginning to fall, the thought that, perhaps, you may never come back again. Or days when the world is a shimmer of blue and gold, sparkling newly all in the dear spring weather. When, with a heart that is torn apart by pain, I walk alone in ways that we went together.
O heart of spring, spirit of light and love and joyous day, so soon to faint beneath the fiery summer, still smiles the earth, eager for thee alway. Welcome art thou, so ever short thy stay, thou bold, thou blithe newcomer. Whither, O whither this thy journeying, O heart of spring? O heart of spring, after the stormy days of winter's reign, when the keen winds their last lament are sighing, the sun shall raise thee up to life again. In thy dim death thou shalt not suffer pain. Surely thou dost not fear this quiet dying? Whither, O whither, blithely journeying, O heart of spring? O heart of spring, youth's emblem, ancient as unchanging light, uncomprehended, unconsumed, still burning. Oh, that we could, as thee, rise from the night, to find a world of blossoms lilac white, and long-winged swallows unafraid returning. Whither, O whither, this thy journeying, O heart of spring?
Another spring. If I might see another spring, I'd not plant summer flowers and wait. I'd have my crocuses at once, my leafless pink meserrions, my chill-veined snowdrops, choicer yet my white or azure violet, leaf-nested primrose, anything to blow at once not late. If I might see another spring, I'd listen to the daylight birds that build their nests and pair and sing, nor wait for mateless nightingale. I'd listen to the lusty herds, the ewes with lambs as white as snow. I'd find out music in the hail and all the winds that blow. If I might see another spring, oh, stinging comment on my past, that all my past results in if I might see another spring. I'd laugh today. Today is brief. I would not wait for anything. I'd use today that cannot last, be glad today, and sing.
Soft-littered is the New Year's lambing fold, and in the hollowed haystack at its side, the shepherd lies a night now, wakeful-eyed at the ewes' travailing call through the dark cold. The young rooks cheep mid the thick core of the old, and near unpeopled streamsides on the ground, by her spring cry, the moorhen's nest is found, where the drained floodlands flaunt their marigold. Chill are the gusts to which the pastures cower, and chill the current where the young reeds stand, as green and close as the young wheat on land. Yet hear the cuckoo and cuckoo flower plight to the heart spring's perfect imminent hour, whose breath shall soothe you like your dear one's hand.
Lo, where the rosy bosom dowers, fair Venus's train appear, disclose the long expecting flowers and wake the purple year. The Attic warbler pours her throat, responsive to the cuckoo's note, the untaught harmony of spring, while whispering pleasure as they fly, cool zephyrs through the clear blue sky their gathered fragrance fling. Where'er the oak's thick branches stretch a broader, browner shade, where'er the rude and moss-grown beech or canopies the glade, beside some water's rushy brink, with me the muse shall sit, and think, at ease reclined in rustic state, how vain the ardor of the crowd, how low, how little are the proud, how indigent the great. Still is the toiling hand of care, the panting herd's repose. Yet hark, how through the peopled air the busy murmur glows. The insect youth are on the wing, eager to taste the honeyed spring, and float amid the liquid noon. Some lightly o'er the current skim, some shew their gaily gilded trim, quick glancing to the sun. To contemplation's sober eye, such is the race of man, and they that creep and they that fly shall end where they began. Alike the busy and the gay, but flutter through life's little day, in fortune's varying colors dressed, brushed by the hand of rough mischance, or chilled by age, their airy dance they leave in dust to rest. Methinks I hear in accents low the sportive kind reply, Poor moralist, and what art thou, a solitary fly? Thy joys no glittering female meets, no hive hast thou of hoarded sweets, no painted plumage to display. On hasty wings thy youth is flown, thy sun is set, thy spring is gone. We frolic while 'tis May. Spring, the sweet spring, is the year's pleasant king. Then blooms each thing, then maids dance in a ring. Cold doth not sting, the pretty birds do sing. Cuckoo, jug jug, wee, to wit the woo. The palm and may make country houses gay. Lambs frisk and play, the shepherds pipe all day, and we hear, aye, birds tune this merry lay. Cuckoo, jug jug, wee, to wit to woo. The fields breathe sweet, the daisies kiss our feet. Young lovers meet, old wives a sunning sit. In every street these tunes our ears do greet. Cuckoo, jug jug, wee, to wit to woo. Spring, the sweet spring.
To what purpose, April, do you return again? Beauty is not enough. You can no longer quiet me with the redness of little leaves opening stickily. I know what I know. The sun is hot on my neck as I observe the spikes of the crocus. The smell of the earth is good. It is apparent that there is no death. But what does that signify? Not only underground are the brains of men eaten by maggots, life in itself is nothing. An empty cup, a flight of uncarpeted stairs. It is not enough that yearly down this hill, April comes like an idiot, babbling and strewing flowers.
Halted against the shade of a last hill, they fed, and lying easy were at ease, and finding comfortable chests and knees, carelessly slept. But many there stood still, to face the stark blank sky beyond the ridge, knowing their feet had come to the end of the world. Marveling they stood, and watched the long grass swirled by the May breeze, murmurous with wasp and midge. For though the summer oozed into their veins like the injected drug for their bones' pains, sharp on their souls hung the imminent line of grass, fearfully flashed the sky's mysterious glass. Hour after hour they ponder the warm field and the far valley behind, where the buttercups had blessed with gold their slow boots coming up, where even the little brambles would not yield, but clutched and clung to them like sorrowing hands. They breathed like trees unstirred. Till like a cold gust thrilled the little word, at which each body and its soul begird and tighten them for battle. No alarms of bugles, no high flags, no clamorous haste, only a lift and flare of eyes that face the sun, like a friend with whom their love is done. Oh, larger shone that smile against the sun, mightier than his whose bounty these have spurned. So soon they topped the hill and raced together over an open stretch of herb and heather exposed. And instantly the whole sky burned with fury against them, and soft sudden cups opened in thousands for their blood, and the green slopes chasmed and steepened sheer to infinite space. Of them who, running on that last high place, leapt to swift unseen bullets, or went up on the hot blast and fury of hell's upsurge, or plunged and fell away past this world's verge, some say God caught them even before they fell. But what say such as from existence brink ventured, but drave too swift to sink? The few who rushed in the body to enter hell, and there out-fiending all its fiends and flames with superhuman inhumanities, long famous glories, immemorial shames, and crawling slowly back have by degrees regained cool, peaceful air in wonder. Why speak they not of comrades that went under?
Spring and fall to a young child. Margaret, are you grieving over Golden Grove unleaving? Leaves like the things of man, you with your fresh thoughts care for, can you? As the heart grows older, it will come to such sights colder, by and by, nor spare a sigh, though worlds of one would leave me a lie. And yet you will weep, and know why. Now no matter, child, the name, sorrow's springs are the same, nor mouth had, no, nor mind expressed. What heart heard of, ghost guessed. It is the blight man was born for. It is Margaret you mourn for.
To what purpose, April, do you return again? Beauty is not enough. You can no longer quiet me with the redness of little leaves opening stickily. I know what I know. The sun is hot on my neck as I observe the spikes of the crocus. The smell of the earth is good. It is apparent that there is no death. But what does that signify? Not only underground are the brains of men eaten by maggots. Life in itself is nothing. An empty cup, a flight of uncarpeted stairs. It is not enough that yearly, down this hill, April comes like an idiot, babbling and strewing flowers.
Now the moisty wood discloses wrinkled leaves of primroses, while the birds they flute and sing. Build your nests, for here is spring. All about the open hills daisies shew their peasant frills, washed and white and newly spun, for a festival of sun. Like a blossom from the sky drops a yellow butterfly, dancing down the hedges gray. Snow be-strewn till yesterday. Squirrels skipping up the trees smell how spring is in the breeze. All the birds they flute and sing. Build your nests, for here is spring.
The wind that breathes of columbines and celandines that crowd the rocks, that shakes the balsam of the pines with laughter from his airy locks, stops at my city door and knocks. He calls me far a forest where the twin leaf and the bloodroot bloom, and circled by the amber air, life sits with beauty and perfume, weaving the new web of her loom. He calls me where the waters run, through fronding ferns where wades the hern, and, sparkling in the equal sun, song leans above her brimming urn, and dreams the dreams that love shall learn. The wind has summoned, and I go, to read God's meaning in each line the wildflowers write, and, walking slow, God's purpose, of which song is sign, the wind's great gusty hand in mine.
Spring with that nameless pathos in the air which dwells with all things fair. Spring with her golden suns and silver rain is with us once again. Out in the lonely woods the jasmine burns its fragrant lamps, and turns into a royal court with green festoons the banks of dark lagoons. In the deep heart of every forest tree the blood is all agleam, and there's a look about the leafless bowers as if they dreamed of flowers. Yet still on every side we trace the hand of winter in the land, save where the maple reddens on the lawn, flushed by the season's dawn. Or where, like those strange semblances we find that age to childhood bind, the elm puts on, as if in nature's scorn, the brown of autumn corn. As yet the turf is dark, although you know that not a span below 1,000 germs are groping through the gloom, and soon will burst their tomb. In gardens you may note amid the dearth the crocus breaking earth, and near the snowdrop's tender white and green, the violet in its screen. But many gleams and shadows need must pass along the budding grass, and weeks go by before the enamored south shall kiss the rose's mouth. Still there's a sense of blossoms yet unborn in the sweet airs of morn. One almost looks to see the very street grow purple at his feet. At times a fragrant breeze comes floating by, and brings, you know not why, a feeling as when eager crowds await before a palace gate some wondrous pageant, and you scarce would start if from a beech's heart a blue-eyed dryad stepping forth should say,
"Behold me, I am May." Spring. Again the violet of our early days drinks beauteous azure from the golden sun, and kindles into fragrance at his blaze. The streams rejoice that winter's work is done, talk of tomorrow's cowslips as they run. Wild apple, thou art blushing into bloom, thy leaves are coming, snowy blossomed thorn. Wake, buried lily, spirit, quit thy tomb, and thou shade-loving hyacinth, be born. Then haste, sweet rose, sweet woodbine, hymn the morn, whose dewdrop shall illume with pearly light each grassy blade that thick embattled stands from sea to sea, while daisies infinite uplift in praise their glowing hands o'er every hill that unto heaven expands.
Dip down upon the northern shore, O sweet new year, delaying long. Thou dost expectant nature wrong, delaying long, delay no more. What stays thee from the clouded news, thy sweetness from its proper place? Can trouble live with April days, or sadness in the summer moons? Bring orchis, bring the foxglove spire, the little speedwell's darling blue, deep tulips dashed with fiery dew, laburnums dropping wells of fire. O thou, new year, delaying long, delayest the sorrow in my blood, that longs to burst a frozen bud, and flood a fresher throat with song.
114. Now fades the last long streak of snow, now burgeons every maze of quick, about the flowering squares and thick, by ashen roots the violets blow. Now rings the woodland loud and long. The distance takes a lovelier hue, and drown it in yonder living blue. The lark becomes a sightless song. Now dance the lights on lawn and lea. The flocks are whiter down the vale, and milkier every milky sail on winding stream or distant sea. Where now the seamew pipes or dives, in yonder greening gleam and fly, the happy birds that change their sky, to build and brood that live their lives. From land to land, and in my breast, spring wakens too, and my regret becomes an April violet, and buds and blossoms like the rest. God shield ye, heralds of the spring, ye faithful swallows fleet of wing, hoops, cuckoos, nightingales, turtles, and every wilder bird that makes your 100 chirpings heard through the green woods and dales. God shield ye, Easter daisies all, fair roses, buds, and blossoms small, and he whom erst the gore of Ajax and Narcissus did print, ye wild thyme, anise, balm, and mint, I welcome ye once more. God shield ye, bright embroidered train of butterflies that on the plain of each sweet herblet sip, and ye new swarms of bees that go where the pink flowers and yellow grow, to kiss them with your lip. 100,000 times I call a hearty welcome on ye all. This season how I love, this merry din on every shore, for winds and storms whose sullen roar forbade my steps to rove.
Spring. Lo, where the rosy-bosomed hours, fair Venus's train appear, and wake the purple year. The Attic warbler pours her throat, responsive to the cuckoo's note, the untaught harmony of spring, while, whispering pleasure as they fly, cool zephyrs through the clear blue sky their gathered fragrance fling. Where'er the oak's thick branches stretch a broader, browner shade, where'er the rude and moss-grown beech or canopies the glade, beside some water's rushy brink, with me the muse shall sit and think, at ease reclined in rustic state, how vain the ardor of the crowd, how low, how little are the proud, how indigent the great. Still is the toiling hand of care, the panting herds repose. Yet hark, how through the peopled air the busy murmur glows. The insect youth are on the wing, eager to taste the honeyed spring and float amid the liquid noon. Some lightly o'er the current skim, some show their gaily gilded trim, quick glancing to the sun. To contemplation's sober eye such is the race of man, and that they creep and that they fly shall end where they began. Alike the busy and the gay but flutter through life's little day, in fortune's varying colors dressed, brushed by the hand of rough mischance, or chilled by age, their airy dance they leave in dust to rest. Methinks I hear in accents low the sportive kind reply, Poor moralist, and what art thou? A solitary fly. Thy joys no glittering female meets, no hive hast thou of hoarded sweets, no painted plumage to display, on hasty wings thy youth is flown, thy sun is set, thy spring is gone, we frolic while 'tis May.
A summer noon. Who has not dreamed a world of bliss on a bright sunny noon like this? Couched by his native brick's green maze, with comrade of his boyish days, while all around them seemed to be just as in joyous infancy. Who has not loved at such an hour, upon that heath in birchen bower, lulled in the poet's dreamy mood, its wild and sunny solitude, while o'er the waste of purple ling you mark a sultry glimmering. Silence herself that seems to sleep, wrapped in a slumber long and deep, where slowly stray those lonely sheep through the tall foxglove's crimson blue, and the gleaming of the scattered broom. Love you not, then, to listen and hear the crackling of the gorse flowers near, pouring an orange-scented tide of fragrance o'er the desert wide? To hear the buzzard's whimpering shrill, hovering above you high and still? The twittering of the bird that dwells among the heath's delicious bells? While round your bed, o'er fern and blade, insects in green and gold arrayed, the sun's gay tribes have lightly strayed, and sweeter sound their humming wings than the proud minstrel's echoing strings.
Summer Longings.
My heart is weary waiting for the May, waiting for the pleasant rambles, where the fragrant hawthorn brambles, with the woodbine alternating, send the dewy rain. My heart is weary waiting for the May. My heart is sick with longing for the May, longing to escape from study to the young face fair and ruddy, and the thousand charms belonging to the summer's day. My heart is sick with longing for the May. My heart is sore with sighing for the May, sighing for their sure returning when the summer beams are burning. Hopes and flowers are dead or dying, all the winter lay. My heart is sore with sighing for the May. My heart is pained with throbbing for the May, throbbing for the seaside billows, or the water-wooing willows, where in laughing and in sobbing glide the streams away. My heart is throbbing for the May, waiting sad, dejected, weary, waiting for the May. Spring goes by with wasted warnings, moonlit evenings, sun-bright mornings. Summer comes yet dark and dreary, life still ebbs away. Man is ever waiting for the May.
Song of the Summer Winds. Up the dale and down the bourne, o'er the meadow swift we fly. Now we sing and now we mourn, now we whistle, now we sigh. By the grassy fringed river, through the murmuring reeds we sweep, mid the lily leaves we quiver, to their very hearts we creep. Now the maiden rose is blushing at the frolic things we say, while aside her cheek we're rushing like some truant bees at play. Through the booming graves we rustle, kissing every bud we pass, as we did it in the bustle, scarcely knowing how it was. Down the glen, across the mountain, o'er the yellow heath we roam, whirling round about the fountain, till its little breakers foam. Bending down the weeping willows, while our vesper hymn we sigh, then unto our rosy pillows on our weary wings we hie. There of idlenesses dreaming, scarce from waking we refrain, moments long as ages deeming, till we're at our play again.
O perfect light, which shade away the darkness from the light, and set a ruler o'er the day, another o'er the night. Thy glory, when the day forth flies, more vively doth appear, than at midday unto our eyes the shining sun is clear. The shadow of the earth anon removes and draweth by, while in the east, when it is gone, appears a clearer sky, which soon perceive the little larks, the lapwing and the snipe, and tune their songs like nature's clerks, o'er meadow, muir, and stripe. Our hemisphere is polished clean, and lightened more and more, while everything is clearly seen, which seemed dim before, except the glistering asters bright, which all the night were clear, offuscate with a greater light, no longer do appear. The golden globe incontinent sets up his shining head, and o'er the earth and firmament displays his beams abread. For joy the birds with bolden throats against his visage sheen take up their kindly music notes in woods and gardens green. The dew upon the tender crops, like pearlous white and round, or like to melted silver drops, refreshes all the ground. The misty reek, the clouds of rain from tops of mountain scales, clear are the highest hills and plain, the vapors take the vales. The ample heaven of fabric sure, in cleanness does surpass the crystal and the silver pure, or clearest polished glass. The time so tranquil is and still that nowhere shall ye find, save on a high and barren hill, an air of peeping wind. All trees and simples great and small that balmy leaf do bear, than they were painted on a wall, no more they move or stare. Calm is the deep and purple sea, yea, smoother than the sand. The waves that weltering wont to be are stable like the land. So silent is the sessile air that every cry and call, the hills and dales and forest fair, again repeats them all. The flourishes and fragrant flowers, through Phoebus' fostering heat, refreshed with dew and silver showers, cast up an odor sweet. The clogged, busy humming bees that never think to drone on flowers and flourishes of trees collect their liquor brown. The sun, most like a speedy post, with ardent course ascends, the beauty of the heavenly host up to our zenith tends. Not guided by a phaeton, not trained by a chair, but by the high and holy one, who does all wear empire. The burning beams down from his face so fervently can beat, that man and beast now seek a place to save them from the heat. The herds beneath some leafy tree, amidst the flowers they lie. The stable ships upon the sea tend up their sails to dry. With gilded eyes and open wings, the cock his courage shows. With clasps of joy his breast he dings, and 20 times he crows. The dove with whistling wings so blue, the winds can fast collect. Her purple pens turn many a hue against the sun direct. Now noon is went, gone is midday, the heat does slake at last. The sun descends down west away, for 3 of clock is past. The rayons of the sun we see diminish in their strength. The shade of every tower and tree extended is in length. Great is the calm, for everywhere the wind is setting down. The reek throws right up in the air from every tower and town. The gloaming comes, the day is spent, the sun goes out of sight, and painted is the Occident with purple sanguine bright. The scarlet nor the golden thread, who would their beauty try, are nothing like the color red and beauty of the sky. Our west horizon circular, from time the sun be set, is all with rubies as it were, or roses red or fret. What pleasure were to walk and see, and long a river clear, the perfect form of every tree within the deep appear. Oh, then it were a seemly thing, while all is still and calm, the praise of God to play and sing, with cornet and with psalm. All laborers draw home at even, and can to others say, thanks to the gracious God of heaven, which sent this summer day.
Invocation to rain in summer. O gentle, gentle summer rain, let not the silver lily pine, the drooping lily pine in vain to feel that dewy touch of thine, to drink thy freshness once again. O gentle, gentle summer rain. In heat the landscape quivering lies, the cattle pant beneath the tree. Through parching air and purple skies, the earth looks up in vain for thee. For thee, for thee it looks in vain, O gentle, gentle summer rain. Come thou, and brim the meadow streams, and soften all the hills with mist. O falling dew, from burning dreams, by thee shall herb and flower be kissed, and earth shall bless thee yet again, O gentle, gentle summer rain.
Rain in summer. How beautiful is the rain, after the dust and heat, in the broad and fiery street, in the narrow lane. How beautiful is the rain. How it clatters along the roofs like the tramp of hoofs. How it gushes and struggles out from the throat of the overflowing spout. Across the window pane it pours and pours, and swift and wide with a muddy tide, like a river down the gutter roars the rain, the welcome rain. The sick man from his chamber looks at the twisted brooks. He can feel the cool breath of each little pool. His fevered brain grows calm again, and he breathes a blessing on the rain. From the neighboring school come the boys, with more than their wonted noise and commotion, and down the wet streets sail their mimic fleets, till the treacherous pool engulfs them in its whirling and turbulent ocean. In the country, on every side, where far and wide, like a leopard's tawny and spotted hide, stretches the plain. To the dry grass and the drier grain, how welcome is the rain. In the furrowed land, the toilsome and patient oxen stand, lifting the yoke-encumbered head, with their dilated nostrils spread, they silently inhale the clover-scented gale, and the vapors that arise from the well-watered and smoking soil. For this rest in the furrow after toil, their large and lustrous eyes seem to thank the Lord, more than man's spoken word. Near at hand, from under the sheltering trees, the farmer sees his pastures and his fields of grain, as they bend their tops to the numberless beating drops of the incessant rain. He counts it as no sin that he sees therein only his own thrift and gain. These, and far more than these, the poet sees. He can behold Aquarius old, walking the fenceless fields of air, and from each ample fold of the clouds about him rolled, scattering everywhere the showery rain, as as the farmer scatters his grain. He can behold things manifold that have not yet been wholly told, have not been wholly sung nor said, for his thought that never stops follows the water drops down to the graves of the dead, down through chasms and gulfs profound, to the dreary fountainhead of lakes and rivers underground, and sees them, when the rain is done, on the bridge of colors 7, climbing up once more to heaven, opposite the setting sun. Thus the seer, with vision clear, sees forms appear and disappear in the perpetual round of strange, mysterious change, from birth to death, from death to birth, from earth to heaven, from heaven to earth, till glimpses more sublime of things unseen before unto his wandering eyes reveal the universe as an immeasurable wheel turning forevermore in the rapid and rushing river of time.
Summer Storm. Untremulous in the river clear, toward the sky's image hangs the imaged bridge. So still the air that I can hear the slender clarion of the unseen midge. Out of the stillness, with a gathering creep, like rising wind in leaves, which now decreases, now lulls, now swells, and all the while increases. The huddling trample of a drove of sheep tilts the loose planks, and then as gradually ceases in dust on the other side. Life's emblem deep, a confused noise between two silences, finding at last in dust precarious peace. On the wide marsh, the purple-blossomed grasses soak up the sunshine. Sleeps the brimming tide, save when the wedge-shaped wake in silence passes of some slow water rat, whose sinuous glide wavers the long green sedge's shade from side to side. But up the west, like a rock-shivered surge, climbs a great cloud edged with sun-whitened spray. Huge whirls of foam boil, toppling o'er its verge, and falling still it seems, and yet it climbs away. Suddenly all the sky is hid as with the shutting of a lid. One by one great drops are falling, doubtful and slow. Down the pane they are crookedly crawling, and the wind breathes low. Slowly the circles widen on the river, widen and mingle, one and all. Here and there the slenderer flowers shiver, struck by an icy raindrop's fall. Now on the hills I hear the thunder mutter. The wind is gathering in the west. The upturned leaves first whiten and flutter, then droop to a fitful rest. Up from the stream with sluggish flap struggles the gull and floats away. Near and near rolls the thunder clap. We shall not see the sun go down today. Now leaps the wind on the sleepy marsh and tramples the grass with terrified feet. The startled river turns leaden and harsh. You can hear the quick heart of the tempest beat. Look, look, that livid flash! And instantly follows the rattling thunder, as if some cloud crag, split asunder, fell, splintering with a ruinous crash on the earth, which crouches in silence under. And now a solid grey wall of rain shuts off the landscape, mile by mile. For a breath's space I see the blue wood again, and, ere the next heartbeat, the wind-hurled pile, that seemed but now a league aloof, bursts crackling o'er the sun-parched roof. Against the windows the storm comes dashing, through tattered foliage the hail tears crashing. The blue lightning flashes, the rapid hail clashes, the white waves are tumbling, and, in one baffled roar, like the toothless sea mumbling a rock-bristled shore, The thunder is rumbling and crashing and crumbling. Will silence return nevermore? Hush! Still as death, the tempest holds his breath as from a sudden will. The rain stops short, but from the eaves you see it drop and hear it from the leaves. All is so bodingly still. Again now, again plashes the rain in heavy gouts. The crinkled lightning seems ever brightening, and loud and long again the thunder shouts his battle song. One quivering flash, one wildering crash, followed by silence dead and dull, as if the cloud, let go, leapt bodily below to whelm the earth in one mad overthrow, and then a total lull. Gone so soon. No more my half-crazed fancy there can shape a giant in the air. No more I see his streaming hair, the writhing portent of his form. The pale and quiet moon makes her calm forehead bare, and the last fragments of the storm, like shattered rigging from a fight at sea, silent and few, are drifting over me.
Summer moods. I love at eventide to walk alone down narrow glens overhung with dewy thorn, where from the long grass underneath the snail, jet black, creeps out and sprouts his timid horn. I love to muse over meadows newly mown, where withering grass perfumes the sultry air, where bees surge round with sad and weary drone, in vain for flowers that bloomed but newly there. While in the juicy corn the hidden quail cries, "Wet my foot!" and hid as thoughts unborn, the fairy-like and seldom seen landrail utters, "Creak, creak," like voices underground. Right glad to meet the evening's dewy veil, and see the light fade into gloom around.
Pods are the poppies, and slim spires of pods the hollyhocks. The balsam's pearly breeds of rose-stained snow are little sacks of seeds collapsing at a touch. The lote that sods the pond with green has changed its flowers to rods and discs of vesicles, and all the weeds around the sleepy water and its reeds are one white smoke of seeded silk that nods. Summer is dead, Amy, sweet summer's dead. The sunset clouds have built her funeral pyre, through which e'en now runs subterranean fire, while from the east, as from a garden bed, mist-vined, the dusk lifts her broad moon like some great golden melon, saying, "Fall has come."
Live all thy sweet life through, sweet rose, dew sprent. Drop down thine evening dew, to gather it anew when day is bright. I fancy thou wast meant chiefly to give delight. Sing in the silent sky, glad soaring bird. Sing out thy notes on high, to sunbeams straying by or passing cloud. Heedless if thou art heard, sing thy full song aloud. Oh, that it were with me as with the flower, blooming on its own tree, for butterfly and bee its summer mourns, that I might bloom mine hour, a rose in spite of thorns. Oh, that my work were done, as birds that soar rejoicing in the sun, that when my time is run, and daylight too, I so might rest once more, cool with refreshing dew.
I'm off away from London, please, to build a little place where I can have some air to breathe and lots of open space. I want to find a mountain top that isn't over bleak, without a hilly road to it, because my legs are weak. I do not want a neighbourhood beset with country clowns, but just a neighbour here and there who knows the way of towns. They must not come and call on me, for callers are a bore, but I shall go and visit them, say twice a week or more. I want the country round about to be the sort of thing of which the chaps who write for books perpetually sing, renowned throughout the British Isles as just the place to see. But all the country round about I want reserved to me. I want the strict simplicity of rural life to reign o'er wooded height and shady dell and daisy-dotted plain. But there must be a station close, and frequent trains must start to run me at a modest fare to almost every part. No echo of the city life must find its way to mar. I want no village public house with yokels at the bar, but just a dainty restaurant where haply I may dine, and find a perfect French cuisine, and get the best of wine.
O wind, thou hast thy kingdom in the trees, and all thy royalties sweep through the land today. It is mid-June, and thou, with all thine instruments in tune, thine orchestra of heaving fields and heavy, swinging fir, strikest a lay that doth rehearse our ancient freedom to the universe. All other sound in awe repeals its law. The bird is mute, the sea sucks up its waves. From rain the burthened clouds refrain to listen to thee in thy leafery, thou unconfined, lavish, large, soothing, refluent summer wind.
Great is the sun, and wide he goes through empty heaven without repose, and in the blue and glowing days more thick than rain he showers his rays. Though closer still the blinds we pull to keep the shady parlor cool, yet he will find a chink or two to slip his golden fingers through. The dusty attic, spider-clad, he through the keyhole maketh glad, and through the broken edge of tiles into the laddered hayloft smiles. Meantime his golden face around he bears to all the garden ground, and sheds a warm and glittering look among the ivy's inmost nook. Above the hills, along the blue, round the bright air with footing true, to please the child, to paint the rose, the gardener of the world he goes.
Fickle summers fled away, shall we see her face again? Hearken to the weeping rain, never sunbeam greets the day. More inconstant than the May, she cares nothing for our pain, nor will hear the birds complain in their bowers that once were gay. Summer, summer, come once more, drive the shadows from the field, all thy radiance round thee fling, be our lady as of yore. Then the earth her fruit shall yield, then the morning stars shall sing.
The hot midsummer, the bright midsummer, reigns in its glory now. The earth is scorched with a golden fire. There are berries, dead ripe, on every briar, and fruits on every bough. But the autumn days, so sober and calm, steeped in a dreamy haze, when the uplands all with harvests shine, and we drink the wind like a fine cool wine. Ah, those are the best of days. When summer's end is nigh-ing, and skies at evening cloud, I muse on change and fortune, and all the feats I vowed, when I was young and proud. The weathercock at sunset would lose the slanted ray, and I would climb the beacon that looked to Wales away, and saw the last of day. From hill and cloud and heaven the hues of evening died. Night welled through lane and hollow and hushed the countryside, but I had youth and pride. And I with earth and nightfall in converse high would stand, late till the west was ashen and darkness hard at hand, and the eye lost the land. The year might age, and cloudy the lessening day might close, but air of other summers breathed from beyond the snows, and I had hope of those. They came and were and are not, and come no more anew, and all the years and seasons that ever can ensue must now be worse and few. So here's an end of roaming on eves when autumn nighes. The ear too fondly listens for summer's parting sighs, and then the heart replies.
Come we to the summer we will come, for the woods are full of bluebells and the hedges full of bloom. The crow is on the oak, a building of her nest, and love is burning diamonds in my true lover's breast. She sits beneath the white thorn, a plaiting of her hair, and I will to my true lover with a fond request repair. I will look upon her face, I will in her beauty rest, and lay my aching weariness upon her lovely breast. The clock of clay is creeping on the open bloom of May. A merry bee is trampling the pinky threads all day, and the chaffinch, it is brooding on its gray mossy nest in the whitethorn bush, where I will lean upon my lover's breast. I'll lean upon her breast, and I'll whisper in her ear that I cannot get a wink of sleep for thinking of my dear. I hunger at my meat, and I daily fade away, like the hedgerows that is broken in the heat of the day.
Winter is cold-hearted, spring is yea and nay, autumn is a weathercock blown every way. Summer days for me, when every leaf is on its tree, when Robin's not a beggar, and Jenny Wren's a bride, and larks hang, singing, 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 over the wheat fields wide, and anchored lilies ride, and the pendulum spider swings from side to side, and blue-black beetles transact business, and gnats fly in a host, and furry caterpillars hasten, that no time be lost, and moths grow fat and thrive, and ladybirds arrive. Before green apples blush, before green nuts in brown, why, one day in the country is worth a month in town, is worth a day and a year of the dusty, musty, lag-last fashion that days drone elsewhere.
The rose tints have faded from out of the west, from the mountain's high peak, from the river's broad breast, and, silently shadowing valley and rill, the twilight steals noiselessly over the hill. Behold, in the blue depths of ether afar, now softly emerging each glittering star, while later the moon, placid, solemn and bright, floods earth with her tremulous, silvery light. Hush! List to the whippoorwill's soft, plaintive notes, as up from the valley the lonely sound floats. Inhale the sweet breath of yon shadowy wood, and the wildflowers blooming in hushed solitude. Start not at the whispering, 'tis but the breeze, low rustling mid maple and lonely pine trees, or willows and alders that fringe the dark tide, where canoes of the red men oft silently glide. See, rising from out of that copse, dark and damp, the fireflies, each bearing a flickering lamp. Like meteors, gleaming and streaming, they pass o'er hillside and meadow, and dew-laden grass, contrasting with ripple on river and stream, alternately playing in shadow and beam, till fullness of beauty fills hearing and sight throughout the still hours of a calm summer's night.
Never was sun so bright before, no matin of the lark so sweet, no grass so green beneath my feet, nor with such dewdrops jeweled o'er. I stand with thee outside the door, the air not yet is close with heat, and far across the yellowing wheat the waves are breaking on the shore. A lovely day, yet many such, each like to each this month have passed, and none did so supremely shine. One thing they lacked, the perfect touch of thee, and thou art come at last, and half this loveliness is thine.
Summer rain. Thick lay the dust, uncomfortably white, in glaring mimicry of Arab sand. The woods and mountains slept in hazy light. The meadows looked athirst and tawny tanned. The little rills had left their channels bare, with scarce a pool to witness what they were. And the shrunk river gleamed mid oozy stones that stared like any famished giant's bones. Sudden the hills grew black, and hot as stove the air beneath. It was a toil to be. There was a growling as of angry Jove provoked by Juno's prying jealousy. A flash, a crash, the firmament was split, and down it came in drops. The smallest fit to drown a bee in foxglove bell concealed. Joy filled the brook, and comfort cheered the field.
Merry autumn, it's all a farce, these tales they tell, about the breezes sighing and moans astir over field and dell, because the year is dying. Such principles are most absurd. I care not who first taught 'em. There's nothing known to beast or bird to make a solemn autumn. In solemn times when grief holds sway, with countenance distressing, you'll note the more of black and gray will then be used in dressing. Now purple tints are all around, the sky is blue and mellow, and even the grasses turn the ground from modest green to yellow. The seed burrs all with laughter crack on featherweed and jimson, and leaves that should be dressed in black are all decked out in crimson. A butterfly goes winging by, a singing bird comes after, and nature all from earth to sky is bubbling over with laughter. The ripples wimple on the rills like sparkling little lasses. The sunlight runs along the hills and laughs among the grasses. The earth is just so full of fun, it really can't contain it. And streams of mirth so freely run, the heavens seem to rain it. Don't talk to me of solemn days in autumn's time of splendor, because the sun shows fewer rays, and these grow slant and slender. Why, it's the climax of the year, the highest time of living, till naturally its bursting cheer just melts into Thanksgiving.
I ran out in the morning when the air was clean and new, and all the grass was glittering and gray with autumn dew. I ran out to the apple tree and pulled an apple down, and all the bells were ringing in the old gray town. Down in the town, off the bridges and the grass, they are sweeping up the leaves to let the people pass. Sweeping up the old leaves, golden reds and browns, while the men go to lecture with the wind in their gowns. The shadows flickering, the daylight dying, and I upon the old red sofa lying. The great brown shadows leaping up the wall, the sparrows twittering, and that is all. I thought to send my soul to far-off lands where fairies scamper on the windy sands, or where the autumn rain comes drumming down on huddled roofs in an enchanted town. But oh, my sleepy soul, it will not roam. It is too happy and too warm at home, with just the shadows leaping up the wall, the sparrows twittering, and that is all.
To autumn. Season of mists and mellow fruitfulness, close bosom friend of the maturing sun, conspiring with him how to load and bless with fruit the vines that round the thatches run, to bend with apples the mossed cottage trees, and fill all fruit with ripeness to the core, to swell the gourd, and plump the hazel shells with a sweet kernel, to set budding more and still more later flowers for the bees, until they think warm days will never cease, for summer has o'erbrimmed their clammy cells. Who hath not seen thee oft amid thy store? Sometimes whoever seeks abroad may find thee sitting careless on a granary floor, thy hair soft lifted by the winnowing wind, or on a half-reaped furrow sound asleep, drowsed with the fume of poppies, while thy hook spares the next swath and all its twined flowers. And sometime like a gleaner thou dost keep steady thy laden head across a brook, or by a cider press with patient look thou watchest the last oozings, hours by hours. Where are the songs of spring? Aye, where are they? Think not of them, thou hast thy music too, while barred clouds bloom the soft dying day, and touch the stubble plains with rosy hue. Then in a wailful choir the small gnats mourn among the river sallows, borne aloft or sinking, as the light wind lives or dies, and full-grown lambs loud bleat from hilly boom. Hedge crickets sing, and now with treble soft the redbreast whistles from a garden croft, and gathering swallows twitter in the skies.
Summer has gone, and fruitful autumn has advanced so far that there is warmth, not heat, in the broad sun. And you may look with naked eye upon the ardours of his air, the stealthy frosts whom his spent looks embolden, or making the green leaves golden. What a brave splendour is in the October air! How rich and clear and bracing and all joyous! We must render love to the springtime, with its sproutings tender, as to a child quite dear. But autumn is a thing of perfect glory, a manhood not yet hoary. I love the woods. In this good season of the liberal year, I love to seek their leafy solitudes, and give myself to melancholy moods, with no intruder near, and find strange lessons as I sit and ponder in every natural wonder. But not alone. As Shakespeare's melancholy courtier loved Ardennes, love I the browning forest, and I own I would not oft have mused as he, but flown to hunt with Amiens, and little thought, as up the bold deer bounded, of the sad creature wounded. A brave and good but wild-worn knight, so wearied with his part in this vexed life, gave man for solitude, and built a ledge, and lived in Wantley Wood, to hear the belling heart. It was a gentle taste, but its sweet sadness yields to the hunter's madness. What passionate and keen delight is in the proud, swift chase! Go out what time the lark at heaven's red gates soars joyously singing, quite infuriate with the high pride of his place. What time the unrisen sun rays the morning in its first bright dawning. Hark, the quick horn, as sweet to hear as any clarion, piercing with silver call the air of morn. And mark the steeds, stout Curthorn and Topthorn, and grey Steel and the Don, each one of them his fiery mood displaying with pawing and with neighing. Urge your swift horse after the crying hounds in this fresh hour. Vanquish high hills, stem perilous streams perforce. On the free plain give free wings to your course, and you will know the power of the brave chase, and how of griefs the sorest a cure is in the forest. Or stalk the deer, the same red lip of dawn has kissed the hills, The gladdest sounds are crowding on your ear. There is a life in all the atmosphere. Your very nature fills with a fresh hour, as up the hills aspiring you climb with limbs untiring. It is a fair and goodly sight to see the antlered stag with a long sweep of a swift walk repair to join his brothers, or the plethoric bear lying in some high crag with pinky eyes half closed but broad head shaking as gadflies keep him waking. And these you see, and seeing them you travel to their death with a slow stealthy step from tree to tree, noting the wind however faint it be. The hunter draws a breath in times like these, which he will say repays him for all care that waylays him. A strong joy fills, a joy beyond the tongue's expressive power. My heart in autumn weather fills and thrills, and I would rather stalk the breezy hills descending to my bower, nightly by the sweet spirit of peace attended, than pine where life is splendid.
Autumn, a dirge. The warm sun is failing, the bleak wind is wailing, the bare boughs are sighing, the pale flowers are dying, and the year on the earth her deathbed, in a shroud of leaves dead, is lying. Come, months, come away, from November to May, in your saddest array. Follow the bier of the dead cold year, and like dim shadows watch by her sepulchre. The chill rain is falling, the nipped worm is crawling, the rivers are swelling, the thunder is knelling for the year. The blithe swallows are flown, and the lizards each gone to his dwelling. Come, months, come away, put on white, black, and grey. Let your light sisters play. Yea, follow the bier of the dead cold year, and make her grave green with tear on tear.
O fair, O sweet, O lovely autumn time, to clothe thy beauties in a fitting rhyme were not so frail a task, for never spring, with all the mirth that birds and bushes bring, was half so fair in dress or form or thought as thee, in love or minstrelsy. No fragile buds are bursting in the copse, no green clothes the rough mountain tops, but crowned with might and majesty they rise, in fellowship with closer bending skies. The sun, no longer fierce, shines with a mellow ray, more friendly than in May. The life they live more deeply to be seen than winter's mantled in deceptive green, that thrills from barren peak to flowery glen, reveals relationship twixt them and men, a bond to bind us to the earth that we have trod, and lift us unto God. The brook runs pure o'er its rocky bed, past the wild coverts whence the birds have fled, and calmly its contented shatter steals, more faint and far, in sweeter, swifter peals, unmixed with aught impure, and sinks into the soul, fleet as the waters roll. No sullen visions of a wasted life, no plaintive whisperings of a fruitless strife, as one has lately muttered in my ear, and no insinuations of a fear, that life may ever end in death my heart receives from the discolored leaves. All things breathe faith in immortality, in love that ever was and ever is to be. It flows from every song or sound that breaks, and fruitful melodies that silence wakes, and life and death, and thought and sound and silence blend in one eternal trend.
Song of Autumn. I come on the wings of the south wind, on the wings of the south and east. I tarry in forest and meadow, and spread out my harvest feast. I am life, I am death and harvest, the soul of the summer and spring, the end of their budding and blooming, of the months and the years. I am king. My coffers are full. I give freely to the strong and the weak as well, to man and the birds of the meadow, the squirrel and fox in the dell. For mine are the barley and wheat fields, the apples of red and green, the chestnuts of brown on the hilltops, the fields of corn between. For me grapes in purple clusters hang low on the rustic vine, and orchards of pears and peaches their garlanded heads incline. I bring unto all a blessing, from inland lake to the sea. I strew the highlands with plenty, the valleys I fill with glee. No dingle may lie so hidden that I do not spy it out, and fill with the wealth of my treasures each distant and secret redoubt. For all countries are my dominions, from pole to equator and pole, and my coursers are swift as the lightnings to bear me from goal to goal. My thanks are often but curses, yet still do I wander on, and gladly bestow my bounties till my wealth is vanished and gone. Then I flee on the wings of the north wind, on the wings of the north and west, and leave to the keeping of winter the lands that I have blessed.
How delicately steps the autumn day, in azure cloak and gown of ashen gray, over the level country that I love, with glittering veils of light about her head, and skirts of wide horizons round her spread, white as the white wing feathers of a dove. Her feet, a flash of silver on the sea, chase silver sails that fly untiringly towards the enchanted islands of the west. Beautiful islands, gardens of delight, that flower at dawn with roses red and white, and flame at sunset golden amethyst. How delicately steps the autumn day, in azure cloak and gown of ashen gray, over the level country that I love, and how my heart, that all sweet things beguile, goes laughing with her for a little while, and then turns homeward like a weary dove.
There trudges one to a merrymaking with a sturdy swing, on whom the rain comes down. To fetch the saving medicament is another bent, on whom the rain comes down. One slowly drives his herd to the stall ere ill befall, on whom the rain comes down. This bears his missives of life and death with quickening breath, on whom the rain comes down. One watches for signals of wreck or war from the hill afar, on whom the rain comes down. No care if he gain a shelter or none, unhired moves one, on whom the rain comes down. And another knows naught of its chilling fall upon him at all, on whom the rain comes down.
In the hush, in the lonely silence of the chill October night, some wizard has worked his magic with fairy fingers light. The leaves of the sturdy oak trees are splendid with crimson and red, and the golden flags of the maples are fluttering overhead. Through the tangle of faded grasses there are trailing vines ablaze, and the glory of warmth and color gleams through the autumn haze, like banners of marching armies that farther and farther go down the winding roads in the valleys. The bows of the sumacs glow. So open your eyes, little children, and open your hearts as well, till the charm of the bright October shall fold you in its spell.
How memory cuts away the years, and how clean the picture comes of autumn days brisk and busy, charged with keen sunshine. And you, stirred with activity, the spirit of those energetic days. There was our backyard, so plain and stripped of green, with even the weeds carefully pulled away from the crooked red bricks that made the walk, and the earth on either side so black. Autumn and dead leaves burning in the sharp air, and winter comforts coming in like a pageant. I shall not forget them. Great jars laden with the raw green of pickles standing in a solemn row across the back of the porch, exhaling the pungent dill. And in the very center of the yard, you, tending the great catsup kettle of gleaming copper, where fat red tomatoes bobbed up and down like jolly monks in a drunken dance. And there were bland banks of cabbages that came in by the wagon load, soon to be cut into delicate ribbons, only to be crushed by the heavy wooden stompers. Such feathery whiteness, to come to kraut. And after there were grapes that hid their brightness under a gray dusk, then gushed thrilling purple blood over the fire, and enameled crab apples that tricked with their fragrance, but were bitter to taste. And there were spicy plums and ill-shaped quinces, and long string beans floating in pans of clear water like slim green fishes. And there was fish itself, salted silver herring from the city. And you moved among these mysteries, absorbed and smiling and sure, stirring, tasting, measuring, with the precision of a ritual. I like to think of you in your years of power, you now so shaken and so powerless, high priestess of your home.
October's bellowing anger breaks and cleaves the bronzed battalions of the stricken wood, in whose lament I hear a voice that grieves for battle's fruitless harvest and the feud of outraged men. Their lives are like the leaves scattered in flocks of ruin, tossed and blown along the westering furnace flaring red. O martyred youth and manhood overthrown, the burden of your wrongs is on my head.
O autumn, laden with fruit and stained with the blood of the grape, pass not, but sit beneath my shady roof. There thou mayest rest, and tune thy jolly voice to my fresh pipe, and all the daughters of the year shall dance. Sing now the lusty song of fruits and flowers. The narrow bud opens her beauties to the sun, and love runs in her thrilling veins. Blossoms hang round the brows of morning, and flourish down the bright cheek of modest eve, till clustering summer breaks forth into singing, and feathered clouds strew flowers round her head. The spirits of the air live on the smells of fruit, and joy with pinions light roves round the gardens, or sits singing in the trees. Thus sang the jolly autumn as he sat, then rose, girded himself, and o'er the bleak hills fled from our sight, but left his golden load.
The dead leaves dance like withered witches, teetering, swirling, dropping and curling, and crackling in the dried up ditches. Hear them whisper as we go past, how each dry lip rustles gossip. Do you hear them saying, our love won't last? Thou comest, autumn, heralded by the rain, with banners by great gales incessant fanned, brighter than brightest silks of Samarkand, and stately oxen harnessed to thy wain. Thou standest like imperial Charlemagne upon thy bridge of gold, thy royal hand outstretched with benedictions o'er the land, blessing the farms through all thy vast domain. Thy shield is the red harvest moon, suspended so long beneath the heavens' o'erhanging eaves. Thy steps are by the farmer's prayers attended, like flames upon an altar shine the sheaves. And, following thee in thy ovation splendid, thine almoner, the wind, scatters the golden leaves. Shorter and shorter now, the twilight clips the days, as through the sunset gates they crowd, and summer from her golden collar slips and strays through stubble fields, and moans aloud, save when by fits the warmer air deceives, and, stealing hopeful to some sheltered bower, she lies on pillows of the yellow leaves, and tries the old tunes over for an hour. The wind, whose tender whisper in the May set all the young blooms listening through the grove, sits rustling in the faded boughs today, and makes his cold and unsuccessful love. The rose has taken off her tire of red, the mullein stalk its yellow stars have lost, and the proud meadow pink hangs down her head against earth's chilly bosom, witched with frost. The robin that was busy all the June, before the sun had kissed the topmost bough, catching our hearts up in his golden tune, has given place to the brown cricket now. The very cock crows lonesomely at morn, each flag and fern the shrinking stream divides. Uneasy cattle low, and lambs forlorn creep to their strawy sheds with nettled sides. Shut up the door. Who loves me must not look upon the withered world, but haste to bring his lighted candle and his storybook, and live with me the poetry of spring.
There is a wind where the rose was, cold rain where sweet grass was, and clouds like sheep stream o'er the steep, grey skies where the lark was. Not gold where your hair was, not warm where your hand was, but phantom forlorn beneath the thorn, your ghost where your face was. Sad winds where your voice was, tears, tears where my heart was, and ever with me, child, ever with me, silence where hope was.
1. I saw old autumn in the misty morn stand shadowless like silence, listening to silence, for no lonely bird would sing into his hollow ear from woods forlorn, nor lowly hedge, nor solitary thorn, shaking his languid locks all dewy bright, with tangled gossamer that fell by night, pearling his coronet of golden corn. 2. Where are the songs of summer? With the sun opening the dusky eyelids of the south, till shade and silence waken up as one, and morning sings with a warm, odorous mouth. Where are the merry birds? Away, away on panting wings through the inclement skies, lest owls should prey, undazzled at noonday, and tear with horny beak their lustrous eyes. 3. Where are the blooms of summer? In the west, blushing their last to the last sunny hours, when the mild eve by sudden night is pressed like tearful Proserpine, snatched from her flowers to a most gloomy breast. Where is the pride of summer, the green prime, the many, many leaves all twinkling? 3 on the mossed elm, 3 on the naked lime trembling, and 1 upon the old oak tree. Where is the dryad's immortality? Gone into mournful cypress and dark yew, or wearing the long gloomy winter through in the smooth holly's green eternity. 4. The squirrel gloats on his accomplished hoard. The ants have brimmed their garners with ripe grain, and honeybees have stored the sweets of summer in their luscious cells. The swallows all have winged across the main, But here the autumn melancholy dwells, and sighs her tearful spells amongst the sunless shadows of the plain. Alone, alone upon a mossy stone, she sits and reckons up the dead and gone, with the last leaves for a love rosary, whilst all the withered world looks drearily, like a dim picture of the drowned past in the hushed mind's mysterious far away, doubtful what ghostly thing will steal the last into that distance, grey upon the grey. 5. Oh, go and sit with her, and be o'ershaded under the languid downfall of her hair. She wears a coronal of flowers faded upon her forehead, and a face of care. There is enough of winter everywhere to make her bower, and enough of gloom. There is enough of sadness to invite, if only for the rose that died, whose doom is beauty's, she that with living bloom of conscious cheeks most beautifies the light. There is enough of sorrowing, and quite enough of bitter fruits the earth doth bear, enough of chilly droppings for her bowl, enough of fear and shadowy despair to frame her cloudy prison for the soul.
They are raking the leaves in the yard today. They lie in golden heaps on the sward. Around them the children play, and the agile squirrel leaps, while the pigeons drop circling on slate-gray wings to hands that strew them grain. One lights on my fingers and cautiously clings, flutters and clings again.
Ere in the northern gale the summer tresses of the trees are gone, the woods of autumn all round our vale have put their glory on. The mountains that enfold in their wide sweep the colored landscape round seem groups of giant kings in purple and gold that guard the enchanted ground. I roam the woods that crown the upland, where the mingled splendors glow, where the gay company of trees look down on the green fields below. My steps are not alone in these bright walks. The sweet southwest at play flies rustling, where the painted leaves are strewn along the winding way. And far in heaven the while, the sun that sends that gale to wander here pours out on the fair earth his quiet smile, the sweetest of the year. Where now the solemn shade, verdure and gloom where many branches meet, so grateful when the noon of summer made the valley sick with heat? Let in through all the trees come the strange rays, the forest's depths are bright. Their sunny-colored foliage in the breeze twinkles like beams of light. The rivulet, late unseen, where bickering through the shrubs its waters run, shines with the image of its golden screen and glimmerings of the sun. But 'neath yon crimson tree, lover to listening maid might breathe his flame, nor mark within its roseate canopy her blush of maiden shame. O autumn, why so soon depart the hues that make thy forest glad, thy gentle wind and thy fair sunny noon, and leave thee wild and sad? Ah, 'twere a lot too blessed forever in thy colored shades to stray, amid the kisses of the soft southwest to rove and dream for aye, and leave the vain low strife that makes men mad, the tug for wealth and power, the passions and the cares that wither life and waste its little hour.
The gentian and the bluebell so can change my calendar. I know not how the year may go or what the seasons are. The months in some mysterious wise take their expression from her eyes. The gentian speaks to memory of autumns long since gone, when her blue eyes smiled up at me and heaven was flushed with dawn. 'Twas autumn then, and leaves were sere, but in my heart was spring o' the year. The bluebell says a message too, of springs long passed away, when in my eyes her eyes of blue gazed, and 'twas the close of day. Spring spread around her fragrant chart, but it was autumn, in my heart.
Last night pealed out the dark death angel's cry. Another year is gone, and from the sky a myriad of voices like a river re-echoed, gone, forever and forever. The deep roll of the night wind's muffled drum mourned for the dead whose lips are pale and dumb, within whose pulseless and unconscious breast reigns the nepenthe of a dreamless rest. Scatter sweet flowers on the seasons too, for oh, they perished in their early bloom, and o'er their dust this requiem be sung. Weep not, for heaven's best favorites die young. Oh, spring was very beautiful and gay, when April, mild and rosy-fingered May, rambled among the many babbling brooks, and gathered wildflowers in their shady nooks, and waving them in gladness in the air, scattered their fragrant dewdrops everywhere, beneath whose silver spray the delicate bloom of Flora filled the air with rich perfume. Slender and gentle and surpassing fair was blue-eyed Summer, with her golden hair, sweet-voiced as is the murmur of a dove, whilst every look was eloquent with love, where blooms the wild rose by the mountain spring, in whose clear waves the robin dips his wing, where clustering berries tempt the longing eyes, like the forbidden fruit of paradise, and the sweet mockingbird in carol gay enchants the listener with his wondrous lay. There, in the silence of her shady bowers, the summer genius passed the dreamy hours. Death came and laid his hand upon her brow, and in eternal night she sleepeth now. Next autumn came in robe of gorgeous dyes, and stately step and melancholy eyes, in mien and look like discrowned Antoinette, a queen, although the Bourbon star had set, beholding with a proud unwavering faith the scaffold and the officers of death, mourning not her own early doom, for she knew well the hollowness of majesty, but grieving that the beautiful and gay in her bright train were doomed to pass away. So autumn died, but oh, her couch of death was balmy with the jasmine's odorous breath, and every wind heart breathed its hollow moan for the sweet soul that had forever flown. But lo, whilst mourning for the seasons fled, a phoenix from the ashes of the dead rises in triumph, and the new-born year round time's vast orb begins his swift career. The rising sunbeams herald his advance, and break on every hill a golden lance. Heaven plants her banners at the eastern gate to greet the monarch as she comes in state, and the loud harps of ocean and of earth resound in strains of revelry and mirth. Welcome to earth, thou youngest child of time, unwarped by wrong, unspotted by crime. O may the blooming vigor of thy youth ripen in wisdom, purity, and truth. Spare in thy flight the innocent and gay, and scatter pleasure's garlands in their way. Repress the insolence of lawless might, and make the wrong submissive to the right. Uphold the patriot, and strike down the hand that waves the traitor's sword or treason's brand. And with the hand of charity redress each form of human woe and wretchedness, so that the annals of all coming time shall write thee as the golden age sublime.